Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Today we are going to discuss a major topic in a programming and in the competitive programming in the coding test arrays. Firstly, arrays we have two types. One was the single dimension, another one was multi-dimensional. For us, sometimes single dimension is enough to do some tasks in the AEM side. Sometimes we require multi-dimensional also. Majorly we focus on the single dimension. And when you are dealing with the competitive coding or you have to attend to the any interviews sessions or coding tests, then multi-dimensional is also the important thing. And majorly the questions are lies in the arrays when you are dealing with the competitive coding. Okay. Firstly, we'll discuss some concepts and later we are discussing programming on the array. Okay. Firstly, array. What is an array? Array is nothing but collection of similar data in continuous memory location. Normally, suppose what is the advantage with the array is, normally if you see, if you are storing one variable a equals to 10, what it means, it will store only one value of 10, right? Suppose you are intent to store a multiple values in a single variable, then array is one concept to that. But array is also have some limitations in that. Firstly, we can see a definition. Array is nothing but simply collection of similar data. Okay, similar data in continuous memory location. Here two terms are the important. One was the similar data, another thing was a continuous memory location. Similar data is nothing but the array can be stored only, suppose you want to store an integers, then it will be only store integers. If you want to store the float values, it will store only the float values. If you want to store only strings, it will store only the strings. But combination of data types is not possible. That means if you can store one string, one integer, one float in a single collection of a variable, it will not possible. That it means similar data. That means it can be stored only the integers, or it can be stored only the floats, or it can be stored only the strings. That means only similar data it can be able to store. Okay. And also array is a non-primitive data type. Array is non-primitive data. When the topic of the data types we already discussed, primitive and non-primitive. Array is a non-primitive data type. Array is a non-primitive data type. Fine. And continuous memory location. What is the mean continuous memory location? Means suppose one variable store in a 100 location, next variable store immediate to that location. Suppose you have some bunch of space. In that space, it will be stored in a format of linear. We are calling it as a linear data type also. Why? Because it will store in a continuous memory location. That means suppose you have one memory of bunch, it will be stored in a continuous memory location. I'll show it to you. Okay. First you have to understand what is an array, then it will be better to move on to the topic, right? Suppose I have a data. Normally array can be declared in a different ways. Suppose it is one array. Okay. I am storing only the integers. Similar data I am storing. Okay. And next thing, continuous memory location means, suppose it is single dimensional array. It is a 1D array. In this I can store one value. Suppose it has a 1, 2, ఇస్తావా? ఇవ్వు. Three, 4, it is a 5. Okay, like this. Suppose this can be start with a 100 location. We are all storing as a integers, right? It all store it as a integers. So next will be, that means every integer has the size of 4 bytes. So next memory location will be at 104. Next memory location at 104, and this one is at this one is at 108, this one is at 112, this one is at 116. That means 4 bytes. Why 4 bytes? Means I am only storing the integers here. So my array have idea, so it will be stored in a continuous memory location. Means suppose it is the entire thing as a one memory, this entire thing as one memory. In this memory it will be stored in a continuous memory location. One is at 100, next one is immediate to the 104. Why 104 means it will be the 4 bytes, 100 plus 4 bytes, it will be the 104. And next element is at 108, next element is at 112, next element is at 116. Suppose if you can store next element, it will be at 120, suppose 120. All are the integers, so 4 bytes is the space between them. Next, it is the continuous memory location. That means if you want to store the hundreds of elements, you are require a space which can be able to store the 100 elements in a continuous memory location. Okay, suppose you want to store the 1000 of elements, it needs thousands of space. That means 1000 element space, how much it will be occupied? It needs that much of space in a continuous manner. That means in a linear manner. Suppose if you want to store the 1 lakh of elements, then it is possible to store in a continuous memory location? Not right. Why? Because suppose this is a memory, means it will be accessible by the all your entire Java code. Suppose here you have only 10 to 9 lines of the code. When you are dealing with the real world applications, you have the code of in a thousands of lines. That means the same memory will be shared by the every unit. That means it is not possible to allocate a 1 lakh elements of space in a continuous way. Why? Because you can't find, suppose here one element is there, here also one element will be stored, here also one element will be the store. Then it is difficult to find that much of space. That is the issue with the arrays. To resolve this, we have a linked list. Arrays can be stored in a continuous memory location. Sometimes we not find that much of space to store the elements. So linked list is the option 2 at that moment. Linked list, what it will do is, suppose you have a space at one location, it will be store one element here and one element at the another space, one element is the another space, and maintain the links between them. Suppose it will be stored at the 100 location, this is at the 500 location. Suppose I have a space at the 500 location, then it will be stored immediately at the 500 location. Suppose I have a space at the 1000 location, I can store the 1000 location. That means irrespective of the continuous memory, it will be stored wherever it went, where the space is available, it will be stored there and arrange the links between the elements. Then it will be accessing. It was the linked list concept we will discuss at the time of the collections. Okay, arrays is simply a continuous memory location, stores the elements, and it will be able to store only the similar data. That means you can't store the one string, one integer, one float in a single collection of data. Okay, right. I hope it will be understand. Now, how can we access the array elements is based on the indexes. Based on indexes, we can access the array elements. First element index starts with a 0. Next element is at 1. Why it is a 0? Means suppose you are storing with a then this A refers to the 100. So a of 0 you are calling normally. A of 0 means 100 plus 0. A is already 100 plus 0. 100 plus 0 means 100, right? Next, a of 1 means, a means 100 plus 1. 1 means you are storing the integer types, right? You are storing the integer rings. That means 1 means plus 4. So 104. Next element is at 104 location. That means it will refers to the locations. Suppose a of 2 means 100 plus 8. 8y means 2 into 4. 2 is the index value. 4 is the capacity of the data type which we are storing, or the size of the data type which we are storing. So because of that 100 plus 8, it will be the 108. Because of that, indexes start from the 0 and traverses to the, suppose I have a 5 elements, my length of the array is 5, but indexes stops at 4. Why? Because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your index starts with the 0, so it will be end with the length minus 1. Okay, your index ends with the length minus 1. Fine. Okay, fine. Collection of similar data in continuous memory location, it is a non-primitive type. Why non-primitive data type? Means it will refers to the location, not stores the exact value. Fine. Next means, next, arrays have a fixed size. Array is a fixed size. That means you have to fix the size of an array. Firstly, dynamically you are not able to change the size of an array. You have to fix the size of an array. Okay, and fixed size, non-primitive data type, collection of similar data, continuous memory location, and that's fine. This is mainly arrays can be fixed size and collect the similar data. This is the thing. And how many ways you can, normally we have types of array. Types of arrays are, one was single dimensional or 1D arrays we can call as. Next, 2D arrays or multi-dimensional array. We are calling it multi-dimensional, not 2D. Multi-dimensional. Multi-dimensional array means it will be 2D, it will be the 3D, it will be the 4D, it will be the 5D. Anything. It will be depends on it. Normally we are discussing the 2D arrays. Why? Because 2D is the concept of we can visualize. 3D we can't visualize, right? Because of that 3D we are not discuss. 2D we can discuss. But we can write them 3D, 4D also. We can write, not all an issue. And how can we declare an array? How can we declare an array? We already discussed that array is a fixed size. So you have to be mention the size of an array at the time of the declaration. Okay. How can we declare an array? Is one way. Suppose you can declare normally like you have to mention like this. Suppose you want to store the integer types, you have to mention like int of. Suppose you want to store the character types, you have to mention like char of. Suppose you want to store the strings, you can mention the string. Suppose you want to store the float, you can mention float. If you are mentioning like this, you are only able to store the type of data types in that array. Okay. Suppose normally I can store like int arr. Normally you can define like this, or else in other way you can define like int arr of. This is also fine. Okay. This is the two ways you can declare. And you want to fix the size, right? Suppose you can fix the size here int 5, or else you can fix like new int of with the size. Suppose you want to store the 5 bytes, then you can store like this. Okay, you can fix with the size here. if you are not fixed with the size, it will throw an error. Normally, I can show to you in a programming. I can create a package in my com. I can create a new Java package. My Java package name is day9. Okay, right? In this I can a new class. My class name is array. Okay, and I have to include firstly the main method. Okay. Suppose if you observe here, it is also an array. It is a string array. It will help to you read the command line arguments normally. We are not discussed that command line arguments how to be discussed. Why? Because we are reading with the dynamic inputs, right? Because of that. Normally in the case of real world programming also we are not use that. When you are dealing with the competitive coding, normally they can pass the values with the command line arguments. That means that they are fixed with the arguments. That means they can pass the arguments. You are not entering that. In that case, it will be the help to you. Normally, suppose how can I create an array? Suppose in a simple way, I can declare an array like this. I can pass. Okay, I can pass like this. Suppose I want to store the integers only, right? Into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can store like this. That means this is also fixed array. That means the size is fixed with the 5. Here I am not mentioning the size, but when I am mentioning the values, it will be fixed with the size. Suppose if I mention the size with here as 2, then it will throw an error. Why? Because already my size is it is a 2, but I am fixed. I am entering the values of 5. So if you can declare like this, or else suppose I can go with a char or char ch equals to new char of 5. Okay, like this. This is also one way. That means which type of data you have to store, you can mention like this. Here you have to pass the size of your array. Then I can access by using the index ch of 0 equals to a, ch of 0 equals to a, like that. Ch of 1 equals to b, or else ch of 2 equals to c, like this. I can access till ch of 3, ch of 4, okay. Suppose if I want to access like ch of 5 equals to e, okay, I can get an error. Why? Because I have the indexes still 4. Why? Because I am fixed with the size of 5. So index is from 0 to 4. 0 to 4. So when I try to access the 5, it will throw an error of index out of bound. Index out of bound error. Index out of bound error. When you are trying to access the index which is greater than the or equals to size of an array, then it will throw an error of array index out of bound. Why? Because the 5 index is not exist, but you are trying to access it. I'll show to you. Suppose I can print like a here the array of sysout of ch, okay, Control S. Exception in thread, index 5 out of bounds for the length 5. Okay, normally how can you check an error at which line you are getting that is, we can normally discuss it the exception handling case, but here only. Suppose first coming from the bottom, first you are getting the error at com.day9.array, com.day9, it is my package, array is my class, under the method of main and line of 11. Okay, in the line 11th line I am getting the error. Normally when you are getting the error, you have to first read the error what you are getting, and you can estimate in which line you are getting the error, like in the way. Normally when you are dealing with the more methods, it will be first we can call it as print stack trace. In the stack trace you can observe the where you are getting the error. You can discuss at the time of exception handling how can you find the exact errors where you are getting it. Okay, normally this is the reason I am getting the error. In the 11th line I am getting the error. Why? Because I am trying to access the index which is out of the bond from the length of 5. So I am getting the error. Okay, normally you can initialize the values like this, or else you can initialize an array with the some fixed size, and later you can append the elements to that. Suppose in a case I am fixed with the size of 5, right? I am fixed with the size of 5. I can enter only the 3 elements. Then what will be my case? Okay, I am entering only the 3 elements, but I am fixed with the size of 5. What it will print? It will print ABC. Normally it will take the value. The only case is if you are trying to access other than the size, that means more than the size what you are fixed, then only the issue. But you are fixed with the a highest size and you can access to the low, then it will be the not at all any issue. This is also one drawback with the array. Why? Because suppose you are fixed with the size of 5, but you are only accessing the 2 elements, then you are wasting the memory of 3 elements, right? That means normally when you are not prefer the arrays is you are not aware about the how many elements you can store, then you can prefer with the linked list. Why? Because you are not aware about how many elements you are storing, then how much of size you can fix. If you are fixed with the 100 elements, but you can't able to store the 105. What will be the case? Suppose I want to store the data of 100 students, I can prefer the array, but one more student added recently, then what will be the case? I have to rearrange the size again, then again I have to add the 100 elements and 101 element also, right? So normally these arrays we are calling it as a fixed size of arrays, we are not preferring. So that's the case we are getting the collections. In that it will be automatically increase the size of an array and automatically decrease the size of array, but it is also any continuous. So we can use the linked list also in that scenarios. Why? Because when you are not finding the continuous memory, you are going to the linked list. Based on the drawbacks only you are getting the new things. One was the storing of the similar data and also with the fixed size. Okay, and also with the continuous memory. It will be the difficult to find always the continuous memory, right? So that is the scenario. Okay, normally it is the single dimensional error. Okay, this is the 2 ways you can declare. You can place these braces after the data type or else after the variable. Both are the fine. Okay, but you want to declare a fixed size, this is the way you have to be declared, or else you want to declare the values, this is the way you can declare the values. This is the 2 ways. And suppose you want to read the values dynamically and appending the values to the array. Okay, and also you want to fix the size also, every time you have to be changed. Then what will be the option is normally in the normal way, how can you read the values? That is the approach. Suppose first I can read the how much of elements I want to store. Okay, first I want to read the size of my array. Okay, for that I have to first, when you have to read the dynamically, first you have to declare a scanner class, right? Scanner class object you have to be create. In that you have to pass the system.in import java.util.star, right, or scanner class, both will be the fine, right? Suppose you want to store the size always in the form of integers, right? Size is 5 4 3 2 1 or 7 8 9 10, like that. It will be an integer, so you have to be read an integer value. My size integer is a size variable, I have to read. I can read like a size equals to sc dot next int, but if I do like this, I can't able to find the cursor. It will be there, but I am not aware I am getting that variable of the cursor or not. So I can print like a sysout of enter the array size, enter array size. Okay, fine. Then fine, this is the way I can read the size, but you want to declare the array, right? You want to declare the array. How can you declare an array? Suppose I want to store the float values, then float okay, equals to new float of, here I have to pass suppose the size is 5, I have to pass the 5. If size is 4, I have to pass the 4. If size is 7, I have to pass the 7. Then what is the variable I have to pass? Size, right? Why? Because size contains the value what I am fixed with the array size. Then normally you want to know, you don't know the how many indexes it has, right? Then how can you do? Normally how can you find the array length is, you have a method of length. By using this you can find the array length. Okay, now length is not the concept here, you want to read the values, right? So you can take a for loop int I equals to 0. Why? Because your indexes start from the 0 and I less than size. Why I am not mentioning less than or equals to size? Because indexes start from the 0 and stops before the size. So I am take 1 less than the size. So because of that I am taking the less than size. And I plus plus, always I am incrementing the size. And in a scenario what I have to do, always I have to read a value and append it to the index. My index is I, right? So fl of I equals to sc dot next float, right? sc dot next float, but I am not aware about I have to enter, right? So sysout I can use system.out.print, not println. Why? Because always I have to enter in a new line. Why? That's not a scenario. So enter an element. Enter an element. Okay. Suppose enter an element. Fine. I can write, and here I can print my FL. Here I can print my FL. Control S, and I'll run this. Run Java. My size is I can fix with suppose a 3. Okay, I can enter the value of 1.9 and 1.8 and 1.7. Then it will print FL. Normally you are printing like FL, right? You are printing like FL. FL means this is the address where it has a store or refers. It is a non-primitive data type. So you are not directly access the or print the value. Like you are not able to print like 1.9 comma 1.8 comma 1.7. You are not able to print like this by using this variable. Then how can you print is, for that you can use another for loop for int I equals to, again traversing with the array I equals to 0, I less than. Now you have to know, here you know the size. What is the size? It is a size variable, right? Now it is a size variable, you know it, but here you don't know about the what is the array length. So you have to find the length by using f1 dot length is a method. Sorry, it is fl, right? Fl dot length. This is the method to know the how many elements in your array. It will returns how many elements. Suppose it has the 3 elements, it will returns 3. It has the 4 elements, it will returns 4. If it has 5 elements, it will returns 5. Normally it returns the size of your array, but it is possible to, you can enter less than the elements of the size, right? Suppose I have a size of 5, but I can enter only the 4 elements also. I can able to do it, right? Suppose I am fixed the size with the 5, but I can enter 4 elements, I can enter 3 elements, I can enter 2 elements, I can't enter any element. It will my wish, I can enter or not. So in that scenario, but if you want to access an element of array of 4, that means fl1 of fl of 4, but you are not finding that index, then it is an issue, right? So in that scenario you want to go with the length, and you can increment like I plus plus, and here you have to print fl of I. Again I have to run this, and again I have to enter a size, and again I have to enter the values, right? I can enter a size of 5, but I can enter the only 3 elements here. One is the 1, 2, another 3. 5, 6. Now it is not possible. Why? Because I am fixed with the size, right? So here I can go with that much of iterations. If I want to decrease here, then it will be the fine. fl of 1, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, sorry 5.0, 6.0. Why? Because I am entering the values of only the integers, but it will take the floats. Why? Because if you are entering the integers, I am taking the array type of float, so it will be converted to the floats. Integer easily can be converted to the float in a implicit typecasting. So that is the scenario. Here you can see in a dynamically how can you read the array elements, right? That means dynamically how can you fix the size of an array. It is also fixed size of array, but you are dynamically fixing the size at every time, and also dynamically reading the values of an array and printing the values of an array, or traversing. We are calling it as a traversing an array. This is the way you can traverse in the array, or else in another way is also there. The other way is in before I am saying like one other loop, right? What is that loop? That is for each. We have a for each loop. By using that also we can do. Suppose you are storing the all are the float values, right? So float, you can mention the data type. Suppose you indexes are the integers, so you are mentioning the integer type. But in a for each loop you are traversing based on the element, exactly on the element. So float, my variable name, here I can take I, right? Suppose here I can take ELE. Compare with the for loop here, and colon, and mention the collection what you are storing. Suppose my collection is FL, right? So then it's fine. Then simply you can print sys out of ELE. Now ELE means 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0. That means exact value. In before, FL of I means index, at the 0th index, at the first index, at the second index, at the third index, at the fourth index, at the fifth index. Based on the indexes you are traversing. Here based on the element, based on the element. That means based on exact value you are traverse. This is the way you can traverse. This is the data type of the value which you are storing in the array, and this is the one variable reference to the element, and it is the array variable. This is the way you can pass like this. Same output I can get in before what I can get like that, right? Syntax error. What is the syntax? Okay. I can enter the size of 5, and I can enter the element of 1.0, 2.2, and 3.3 or 3.4, and 4.5, and 7.8. It will print 1.0, 2.2, 3.4, 4.5, 7.8. That means ELE means first ELE is 1.0, next ELE becomes 2.2, next ELE becomes 3.4, next ELE becomes 4.5, and next ELE becomes 7.8. In before, if you are go with the index based, then for int I equals to 0, I less than fl dot length, right? Fl dot length I plus plus, and you have to print like fl of I. It means you are printing fl of 0, fl of 1, fl of 2, fl of 3. That means at that address what the value you are printing, but here you are printing the exact value. You are not traversing based on indexes. These are the two ways you can traverse in an array. This is the two ways you can traverse in an array. In an array you can traverse in these two ways. One by using the index based, or one you are based on elements. Okay, here I am taking the float. Why? Because I am storing the float values. Why? Because my FL contains all the float, so I am mentioning the float. Okay, suppose if you are storing the integers, then you can mention the integer here. If you are storing the characters, then you can mention the char here. If you are storing the strings, you can mention the string here. What the values you are storing, based on that you can mention the data type here. But here it is always an int. Why? Because indexes all are integers only. Indexes always integers, so you have to mention the int here. Okay, this is the way you can dynamically fixing the sizes of an array, and you can dynamically read the values in an array and traversing through an array. Why traversal is important? Because when you are dealing with the array problems, suppose you want to search for one element exists in an array or not, then what you have to do? Suppose I have an array of a equals to 1, 10, 16, 13, right? Suppose I want to search my 10 is an element exists in the array or not. Suppose, how can you say one element exists in an array or not? You have to check element is at the 0th location or not, element is at the 1 index location or not, element is at 2nd index element or not, element is a 3rd element or not. Like that you have to check for the entire array, right? That means you have to be traverse. You have to be traverse the entire array. You have to check that. Normally you can observe the array and easily tell 10 is in the element, 10 is in the A, and 15 is not in the A, and 16 is in the A, and 17 is not in the A. How can you tell? You are checking, you are observing the array by seeing with your eyes, and you can tell 1 is at the 0th index, and 10 is at the 1 index, and 16 is at the 2nd index, and 13 is at the 3rd index. You know, you are observing and you are easily telling. But in a program you have to be traverse, right? So based on the indexes you can traverse, or based on the elements you can traverse. This is the traversing approaches we have. Sometimes we can traverse based on the indexes, sometimes we can traverse based on the element. It will be depends on the scenario of the problem. Sometimes you are following the for each loop. That means based on the elements you have to be follow. Based on the element you need to be follow. In some scenarios it will not work. Why? Because suppose I am telling you like that, only print the elements at the even indexes. Suppose I am telling like, if you want to print only the even index elements, then if you are go with this loop, you can achieve that. No, right? Why? Because here you can traverse based on the elements, so it is not possible to print only the even indexes, right? So then this is the loop helps to you. Why? Because even indexes means you can simply search one condition of if I mod 2 equals to 0, then print this line, else continue, right? Then based on the indexes you can print. That means it will be depends on the scenario which traversal is better at that moment. Okay, right? This is about simply the arrays. How can you read and how can you assign the values and other things. You can assign the values based on the indexes only. Other things you have to be performed based on the indexes only. You can perform it. Okay, we can do some programs on the arrays. Then it will be better understand to you. Later we can discuss the multidimensional array. First we can discuss some programs on the arrays, and later we'll move the two-dimensional arrays. Okay, for first program, okay, it will be an intro. Then I can take the as a new file. Array program, and it is a main class. Whenever you are defining a class, first you need to include one main class. Why? Because you are running this file, right? I am running the file. My running file must contain the main method. Okay. Suppose go with a simple program of I want to find an index. I want to find the one element exists in my array or not. Search, simply performing the search operation. I want to search an element exists in my array or not. How can I do? Simply I can take an array, okay, but you can go with the dynamic values, but you can read the dynamic values as I seen before. Before I will explain that, right? How can you read the dynamics? You can go like this, but as a simplifying, and I have to discuss a lot of programs. Because of that, I will take the dynamics. Suppose I can take 1, 10, 100 and 23 like this. Okay, I have an array like this, and what I have to do is I want to check. I can read one element and I can check the element exists in my array or not. Okay, I want to read one element and check the element exists in that array or not. Simply I can read an element, right? So int ele. For that, what I have to do, I have to be mention the scanner class. Int ele. For that, I have to mention scanner class first, and after that ele equal to sc dot next int. Why? Because always I am storing the integers, right? So in that scenario, int and okay, here I can print a statement of enter element to search. Enter an element to search. Enter an element to search, and I can read the element here now. And how can I search, right? For that, I have to check my element is at 0th index or not. I want to check my element is at second index or not. I can check third index, and I have to check 4th index. You can do it in a 2 for loops. By using that 2 for loops, you can do it, or else simply go with the index based search. Int I equals to 0 and I less than array dot length. Always you have to be mentioned like this when you are traversing. Why? Because length means What is the length of an array now? What is the length of an array? 4, right? So I less than 4, you have to. That means I becomes 0, 1, 2, 3. My index is like this, right? So that is the case. And what I have to do? I want to check a condition of if, what I have to check? ARR of I equal to what is the element? ELE, right? Equal to that element or not? That I have to check. That means at 0th index the element is equal to my reading element or not. At 1 index my element is not. Like that I have to read. Suppose if I found this, then I can print like element found, element found, element from. And simply I can break the loop. Why I break the loop? Because if I found the element at the 0th index, then there is no necessity to search at the one index and second index and the third index, right? There is no need to search. So when I found the element, there is no need to search for the all other elements. Then and I have to write another case also. That case is if I equals to array dot length minus 1, then sys out of element not found. Why? Because suppose if I not found the element, then if I mention it in a else block, then it will be print for the 0th index, then it will print for the 1 index, then it will print for the 3rd index. But I have to search entire array, then only I have to print. So if I found this, that means if I execute this statement means I am reaching the last index element, but I am not found that element, then only it will be execute this statement. Okay, simply I can run this, run Java. Suppose I can read the first element as I can enter an element of 24. My array not contains the 24, so it will print element not found. Okay, and I can run this again, and I can read an element of which was existing. What was the existing element? I think 1 is existing, right? So I can enter an element of 1. It will show the cursor 1 element form, right? This is the way you can perform the search operation. If you want to check one element exists in your array or not, this is the way. Right? Okay, fine. Okay. Suppose in a scenario you want to print array of elements in a reverse order. Then how can you do that? Suppose how can I do this by using the for each loop? I can do this by using a for each loop also, right? How can I do that? Why? Because this is only the elements you have to be compared, right? So I can do by using the for each loop. Here I have the integer type of element, so integer e is the variable and array is the, and simply you have to check if e equals to ELE, then print of you can print anything, right? Print of element found, again element found. Suppose element not found case, what you have to do is simply you can maintain one variable, change the variable name. Suppose I can maintain a variable of found equals to 1. Okay, I can read an element found equals to 0 here, int. That means if I found an element, I can change the value and break, and here I can write a condition, or else simply you can write if found equals to 1, then print of element not found, What is this? Okay, fine. This is the way. If found equals to 1, then you have to change the element not found. Okay, this is the way. Okay, sorry. When found equals to 0, you can maintain like a element not found. Why? Because you are changing the found value only when element you are finding. If you are not finding an element, you are not changing the found value, right? So that is the case. That means there are the different ways to execute one program. Okay, always you have to choose which is beneficial to you, or which is can do in a efficient way. Okay, this is one program, or else you can do a lot of programs. The programming is depends on the mathematical and the logics. Okay, and another program. Suppose you want to print an array of elements in a reverse order, then how can you print the array of elements in a reverse order? How can you print? Simply you can traverse from this side to this side. It will be the fine, right? You can traverse from array of 3, array of 2, array of 1, array of 0, then it will print in a reverse order, right? Then it will print on a reverse order. This is the one way. Int I equals to, then where I have to start my I? Start from the last index. Last index is length minus 1, right? Length means it will return the 4. My last index is 3. So length minus 1, and I greater than or equals to 0, and I minus, right? Why? Because you have to decrement, and this is out of ARR of I, right? Then it will print in a reverse order. Right? This is the one way. Of approach. Or else you can swap the elements. Normally, the best approach is swapping an array. How can we reverse an array? This is the one way you can reverse an array. Or else another way of reversing an array is simply maintain one variable from the last, maintain one variable from the first, swapping last and first and last and first. Like that you can perform the swaps, you can do it. Normally we are calling it as we are using for the reversing of the strings and the arrays in a competitive programming. Why? Because it will take only the n by 2 of the size. Why? Because if you have the 4 elements, it will take only the 2 iterations. I can tell to you. Simply I can change. This is the one way of printing the array of elements, but you want to reverse an entire array. That means this array of elements you have to be reversed. How can you reverse this? Simply maintain one reference of the temporary variable int a. Okay, it is a temporary variable. Suppose it is one temporary variable. I can maintain one variable int I equals to 0. Why? Because it is from the starting. That means we are calling it as 2-pointer approach. Normally we are calling it as 2-pointer approach. And another variable is that int j equals to ARR dot length minus 1. Okay. Suppose I can read another element as 25. What is the length? What is the length of an array? 5, right? Why? Because it has the 5 elements. What was the last index? Last index is 4. It is the first indexes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means I is at here, j is at here. Okay. ARR of I means 1, ARR of j means 25. Right? ARR of I means 1, ARR of j means 25. I want to getting the output of 25, 23, 100, 10 and 1, right? Suppose it is my ARR of I, right? It is the ARR of J. Suppose if I swapping these two elements coming to this my exact position or not. If I swap this ARR of I and ARR of J, I am getting the my exact output, not exact position of the elements at the final, right? Like the same way, again I comes to here and J comes to here, again swap these two, okay? And it is not the case. Why? Because middle element you are not able to swap. Suppose it is a even size of an array, then you have to be swap. It is the odd size, then middle element no need to change. Then I have to maintain a condition of while loop, while of I less than j, while of I less than j, okay? You have to swap, right? For the swapping purpose I am taking the one temporary variable int a equals to, I am maintaining of error of I, sorry, ARR of I. It contains firstly 1, right? Okay, what is the value of a here? A contains here 1. Next, ARR of I equals to ARR of j. Then ARR of 0 becomes 25, right? ARR of 0 becomes 25. Why? Because first here I is 0, right? So ARR of 0 becomes 25. Next, what you have to do? ARR of j needs to store it a. Then it will becomes ARR of 4 becomes 1, right? ARR of 4 becomes 1. I am swapping here simply. And now what you have to do? After swapping, your I has to comes here and j has to comes here. That means I needs to be increment and j needs to be decrement. Then you can get it. Then how to access is simply you can traverse for int ele colon ARR and print like sysout of ele, right? I can take it in a single line. Why? Because it will be in a good manner, right? And I can run this program, right? Normally we are calling this two-pointer approach. Why? Because you are doing or iterating a loop only the n by 2 times. Suppose my loop is my length is 5, only I am iterating 2 times. Only I am iterating 2 times. Why? Because after 2 times this condition fails. So I am not comparing this again. So this is we are calling it time complexity. We are maintaining the time complexity. Normally we are calling it as time complexity. You have to maintain. This is one of program. Okay. Suppose I am giving a task like you want to read a prices in an array and calculate the sum of the array. Calculate the sum of an array. It was simply you can do, right? Maintain one sum variable, sum plus equals to array of I and iterating to the loop. Fine. Suppose I have to sum these values. I have to sum the values. Then how can you do? Suppose you want to sum. Then how can you do? Int sum or int or float, anything, right? Float sum equals to 0. Okay. And here you have to do of ELE means sum element, right? Sum plus equals to ELE. Or else if you want to go with the index based search, then you have to do sum plus equals to ARR of I. That's the same only, na? Suppose ELE means first 1 plus 0, next sum becomes 1, 10 plus 1 it will be the 11, next ELE becomes 100, 11 plus 100, 111, like that. Normally you are doing the for loop, That's the thing you have to do with a arrays also. Suppose I am not print anything here. Okay. Here I have to print some, right? Of some. My expected output is 111 and 23. $159.0. It will be the 111 plus 25. It will be the 136 plus 23, 159. Fine. Right? This is the way. At the last, I'll tell another program. Normally, you can do on the strings, or else you can do on the characters, or else you can do on the float values, or else you can do on the doubles, anything. Okay. Why I am not touched with the strings? Because I am not completed the strings concept, right? Because of that. Fine. Now, my it was one program. It was nothing but it was nothing but, suppose I have an array of int ARR. Okay, it contains 1, 2, 3, 0, 5, 6, 0 and 0 and 7. I want the output like 1, 2, 3. Sorry. I 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 and zeros. Okay. This is, we are calling it as, suppose you are going with any coding questions of the lead code or anything. One question is there, it was a moving zeros to end. Moving zeros to the end. That means move the all zeros to the end. This is the task. In an array, move the all zeros to the end. How can we do that? Suppose here I can take one method. Why the method is because why I am taking the method here, because of you can know how can the pass an array to the methods. Because of that, I can take one method of public void or anything. I'll take the void move zeros. Okay, move zeros. Here you can simply use like a int a. This is the way. Normally, how can you declare an array? That is the way you can pass an array. Okay. Okay. Here I can call that array. How can you call? How can you call an array? First you have to create object for this class, right? It was the A1. New. It is the object creation, and next you have to call by using the object reference, right? Simply I can pass the ARR. And first here I can take something like length int n equals to, or int size or anything, int n equals to a dot length. Okay, it is the size, right? A dot length. Fine. And I am taking another variable of int count equals to 0. Okay, and I can iterate one loop for int I equals to 0 and I less than n and I plus plus. Okay, and okay. Now what I have to do is, if ARR of, that means A of I not equals to 0, A of I, if A of I not equals to 0, then I can do like I have a count, right? So count plus plus equals to A of I. This means what will be happen is, first count value is 0, right? So count will be increment after the execution of this statement, right? Clear? Count will be increment after execution of this statement. So count here is AR of 0. Suppose first iterate to the loop. I is 0. I is 0, right? AR of A of 0. A of 0 is 0. No, right? This condition true. So comes to here. Here A of 0. Count is 0, right? So A of 0 becomes A of 0 only. Fine. Next count will be increments to 1. I is also increments to 1. A of 1 not equals to 0. Fine. Count is also 1. So at the first location the same thing, I am not changing anything. And again count will be increments to 2. And I also increments to 2. And at the A of 2 also not at all any 0. Fine. Next count will be increments to 4. A of 4 is 0. A of 4 is 0, right? So this statement not executed. Then what is the count value? 4 only. Why? Because count not incremented, right? This statement is not incremented. So count is 4 only. Then again I will be increment to 5. A of 5 not equal to 0. But count is at 4 only. So it will be, in place of 0 it will be 5. In place it will be 5. Again the same it will happen. But till to the completion it will not contains the zeros. But my output want like that after the completion all the zeros need. That means at the end how many zeros? I think already I have the 3 zeros. So at the end I observe 3 zeros. So for that, normally if you do like this, if I print an array, here I can print the array. How can I print an array? For int element colon A, right? Simply I can print sysout of ELE plus equals to, right? If I run this I can get an output of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 only. I can get the only output of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 0 and 7. Bye. It will comes like this, but you want the output of you want the output like this. You want the output like this one. So for that what you have to do is, before printing the statements you have to print not at all print, you have to add the zeros to the count. That means remaining. How can you do it? While of count less than n, count less than n, in place of count you have to do, that means when it will print the zeros, the count will stops here, the count is stops here. So you have to be print these 3 also. So the same what you are doing here you can do. But here you are initialized with a 0. Okay. Now you can run. Now you can get the exact output. Right. First I am taking the only consideration into the elements. After that I can take into the zeros. This is like in a scenario you want to maintain the order of elements. Order of elements means suppose if you observe, order of elements you are maintaining. That means after 1 only 2 will become, after 2 only 3 will become, after 3 only 5 will become, after 5 only 6 will become, after 6 only 7 will become. If you are moving the zeros to the end also, you want to maintain the order of the elements. Order of the elements. Suppose you are not, no need to maintain the order. That means suppose 5 is there, 1 is there, or else 7 is here. That means you are not maintaining the order. It will be the another approach. That means if you are not maintaining, order is not a consideration, then you can go with the another approach, like simply taking the 2 pointers approach, I and the j. Always here you need the zeros, right? Suppose here it is a 0, then you can move it, the j. Here it is an element, you can move the I. Like that you have to maintain the 2 pointer, then it will be the case, it will be different. It is a fine. First you have to understand the arrays and how can you traverse, and that means you have to maintain the logics, you have to be thick. This is the single dimensional arrays. Okay. Next we can discuss the multi-dimensional arrays. Okay. Multi-dimensional array. Multi-dimensional array is nothing but matrix. Simple example is a matrix. If you go with the 2-dimensional array, matrices, you all know the matrices, right? Matrices operations all can be do by using this. Suppose you are dealing with the machine learning problems all will be depends on a matrices. Okay, the matrices programs are how can you declare the matrices and how can you access the elements and how can you perform the all matrices. Suppose in the inter I think matrices contains the highest weightage, you can learn the all programs on the matrices, right? Transpose of a matrix, inverse of a matrix, and skew symmetric matrices how can you define, and addition of 2 matrices and product of 2 matrices you are doing, right? You all do that. Suppose you are reading the inter, or else if you are doing the diploma also, it is a concept, matrices is there. Okay, that's the scenario. How can you declare the multi-dimensional arrays, and we will see that. Simply I can show how to read a multi-dimensionals and how to traverse in the multi-dimension, and how can you access the elements and how can you perform the operations. We'll do simply that 2D invalid qualified name, not start with error, right? Array 2D, array 2D, fine, array 2D, and I can declare with the main, right? Normally how can you declare a single dimensional array? Int, you can declare like int arr equals to like this, you can declare, right? Suppose if it is a multi-dimensional, include 1 here. It is a 2-dimensional, include another. If it is a 3-dimensional, include another one. If it is a 4-dimensional, include other one. Okay. Suppose simply taking about the 2-dimensional, and the scenario is like this: 1, 2, 3. It is one array, and it is one array, and it is another array. It is matrices simply. It is the first row, it is the second row, it is the third row. Okay, first row, second row, third row. Multi-dimensional array is nothing but one array inside another array. It is a multi-dimensional. Suppose it is a 3-dimensional. Then what you can do is, here you have to mention the 3-dimension. That is the scenario. 2-dimensional is first you have to understand the 2-dimensional, right? Fine. It is a 2-dimensional. Normally you can declare. Suppose you want to access the 1. Okay. Normally, okay, it is one element. Okay. Taking this as a reference to the single dimension. Okay. Suppose this is one element, right? This is one element. How can you access this element? Based on the index, right? That means it is the 0th index. Fine. It is the 0th index, and it is a first index. It is a second index, right? Till this it will be fine. Good. Suppose you had to access one. Okay. That means it is also one array, right? It is also one array, but this array 1 is at which index? 0, 1, 2, right? And it is also 0, 1, 2, right? And it is also 0, 1 and 2, right? But the difference is it is at the array of 0th row, 0th column, and it is of the element at 0th row, second column or first column, 0th row, second column. That means suppose you want to access the element of 1, it is like ARR of which row? 0th row and which column? First column. This means first element. Okay, and this means ARR of 0 and 0, right? 0 0 0 0 means this one, 0 1 means this one, and 0 2 means 0 2 is value 3, right? 3, right? 0 1 is 1, 0 0 0 is 1, 0 1 is 2, 0 2 is 3. Simply taking like a scenario of 0th row, first 0th column, 0th row, first column, 0th row, second column. Taking an example like of matrices. Okay, 1 2 3, right? 4 5 6 7 8 and the 9. It was a 0th row, it is a first row, it is the second row. Normally you are taking it like a single dimensional array. Okay, in a single dimensional array another single dimensional array is there. Okay, it is the first element. Okay, the first element is at the 0th index, first index, and the second index. So 0th column, second column, first column, second column. Normally we are calling columns like first column, second column, third column, right? That's the way. So but indexes start from the 0. So 0th column, first column and the second column. Finish. This is the way you can access. It was defends the row, it will defend the columns. It will defend the row, it will defend the columns. It is a 2-dimensional array, but 3-dimensional array visually we can't represent, but we can define in a program. Why? Because you can include another array here, na? Then it will be the array. Okay. First, normally this is the way. How can you declare a size for the? Suppose I can tell an scanner class. For the scanner class SC, new scanner of system.in, right? System.in. Fine. And I want to read the rows, right? Int m equals to sc dot next int. It is simply rows. I can enter like a csort. Enter rows. Enter rows. Always read like this with the print out statement, not println statement, because if you go with the println statement, it will again goes to the new line. If print means it will be in the same line, then it will easy understand to you. And after that, after the reading, you have to enter, right? Control C, and you can go like Control V. Enter columns. Enter columns. Okay, it will the value of n, right? It will the value of n. Suppose my array is like this. Suppose my array is like this. It is we are calling as a 2 by 3 matrix.
Why? Because 2 rows, 3 columns. 2 rows, 3 columns. That means what is the m value I have to read? 2 here. And what was the n value I have to read? 3 here. That means then here only I have these two things. Why? Because only two rows, right? This is the scenario. 2 rows means only the 2 arrays inside it. 3 columns, 3s, it will be the value. Then how can we initialize an array with the elements? Normally, like the in before, how can you array? Simply you have to declare like this, right? And after that, suppose matrix is the element. Matrix is the element of the variable new int of, like the way in before single dimension you can only take the single thing. Here you have to take multiple. This means m rows n columns, right? M rows n columns. Fine. And again you have to read the matrices values dynamically, right? So for that I can go with the size, right? For int I equals to 0, I less than. Suppose I want to go by the row wise. First I want to read all the elements in a row. Later I can move with the column. Okay. That means row wise. First I can complete this and after I can move to the another one. For that simply I less than m. Suppose you want to go by the row wise, then I less than m, I plus m. Why? Because row count is in m. How can you access? For that sys out. Simply I can take the print statement, print of enter. I want to know which element I am entering, right? Enter. Sorry. Nested for loop you have to take. For int j equals to 0, j less than n. That means every column you have to read, right? So j plus plus and take the result, right? Taking into the consideration. I throw enter. I row enter I row. I row. I means in which row you are defining, and plus j plus you can take column. Fine. Simply it will print like enter 0th row column like this. And you can read like take one variable, right? Int or array of I means the row, j means the column. Suppose you want to read the value of this one you have to read. One is at 0th row, 0th column. So it defines the 0th row, it defines the 0th column. Again it will be increment to the first column. Then it will be 0th row, first column. Then it will be 0th row, second column. After that it will increment the I. When this loop will completed, it increments the I. Then first row, 0th column, first row, first column, first row, second column, like that, row based. And sc dot next int of, right? Okay, fine. But I have to print, right? For the printing also the same way. For int I equals to 0, I less than. Suppose you want to know the row length. Suppose you want to know the row length. How can you know the row length? How can you know the row length? Matrix dot length. Matrix dot length, you can get the row length. What is the element? Matrix. Matrix is the element, right? Sorry. Okay. matrix of length, and I plus plus. It will defines the how many rows in your matrix. Why? Because matrix means this will be the thing. Matrix means this will be the thing. It will give the entire rows count. Suppose you want to know the column count. If you want to know the column count for int j equals to 0, j less than matrix of 0. Okay, matrix of 0 dot length. Matrix of 0 dot length. Matrix of 0 dot length is nothing but it will gives to you. Matrix of 0 means it will gives like this one, this array dot length. That's the scenario. And j plus plus, and same way system dot out dot println. I can take this and print the ARR of sorry, ARR is not the right matrix of I and j. I means the row, j means the column, and I can print one space after the every statement, and after printing of the every row I want to come to the new row, then I can take out of print an empty print statement, then I can get it right. Array 2 dot java. Suppose I enter the value of rows as 2 rows 3 columns. Okay, enter 0th row 0th column value. My value is 1. 0th row first column value 2. 0th row second column value 3. First row 0th column. Okay, then my value is at 4, and first row first column 5, and first row second column 6. What it will print? It will print 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Zeroth row, 0th column, ij. The issue is in which variable I am changing? ARR, but my variable is matrix, right? So because of that, initially when you are declaring this size, when you are declaring the size of an matrices or a 2-dimensional or a single dimensional array, it will allocates with the zeros by default. Because of that I am getting the output of zeros. Okay, now I can read the enter the rows of the value. Now I can go with the 3 by 3. 0th row 0th column 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and the 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. This is the way you can traverse and do the operations. Suppose you want to perform addition of 2 matrices. How can you perform addition of 2 matrices? Suppose you want to perform addition. What is the condition in a matrices? I also forgot that. I think rows and columns count will be the equal in the 2 matrices. I think, yeah. To perform the addition, rows count and the columns count will be the equal. Then only you have to perform the addition, or else you can't perform the addition. The addition means nothing but you can take another matrices like this. Suppose I have a matrices of 7, 8 and the 9, and I have another matrices of 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8 and the 9 and 1, 2 and the 3. Then you have to perform addition of these two matrices. You can read matrix 1 this one and matrix 2 this one, and simply traverse like the same way with the m and n, and add 1 and 4, 2, 5, 3, 6, and matrix 1 of 0th row 0th column and matrix 2 of 0th row 0th column, store it in one other matrices. The same way you can perform the addition, traverse and adding. That's the operation, right? This is about the multi-dimensional. Simply you can access it, and how can you traverse and all the things. You can read the values and perform any other operations. It will be based on a logic. Okay, fine. Thank you.